Good day, everyone. Today's report is all about the portfolio assessment. So, let's define first what is portfolio assessment. Portfolio assessment is an assessment form that children do together with their teachers. So, next is what is a portfolio? A portfolio is a compilation of materials that exemplifies your beliefs, skills, qualifications, education, training, and experiences. So, when we heard about portfolio, we have to remember that a portfolio is a compilation of materials. A portfolio also provides insight into your personality and work ethic. So, it provides deeper understanding about your personality and work ethic.
How do you explain portfolio in education? A student portfolio is a compilation of academic work and other forms of educational evidence assembled for the purpose. Or, in other words, it is a collection of student work that can exhibit student efforts, progress, and achievements in various areas of the curriculum. Or it can be an examination of student selected samples of work experiences and documents related to outcomes being assessed, and it can address and support progress toward achieving academic goals, including student efficacy. We proceed the purpose of student portfolio. First, evaluating coursework quality, learning progress, and academic achievement. In coursework is a practical work or study done by a student in partial fulfillment of a degree or training. In learning progress, it implies that learning is a process of increasing difficulty and complexity rather than a body of content to be covered within specific grade levels. In academic achievement, it is the extent to which a student or institution has achieved either short or long-term educational goals. In number 2, determining whether students have met learning standards or other academic requirements for courses, grade level, promotion, and graduation. For me, this is our concise written descriptions of what students are expected to know and be able to do at a specific stage of their education. In number 3, helping students reflect on their academic goals and progress as learners. Go. This is an engaging in goal setting is a practical positive step that any teacher can use in a classroom setting to combat feelings or fear in anxiety. Last, the creating a lasting achieve of academic work products, accomplishments, and other documentation. As students develop their portfolio, they are able to receive feedback from peers and teachers about their work. Because of the greater amount of time required for portfolio projects, there is a greater opportunity for introspection and collaborative reflection.
Portfolio in education comes in many forms, from notebooks filled with documents, notes, and graphics to online digital archives and students created websites, and they may be used at the elementary, middle, and high school levels. So, portfolio is well known material nowadays, especially in teaching. It helps teachers to know how wide and creative students are when it comes to learning. Online portfolios are often called digital portfolios or e-portfolios among other terms. In some cases, blogs or online journals may be maintained by students and include ongoing reflections about learning activities, progress, and accomplishments. So, I think that what we are using now is an example of e-portfolio or online portfolio, which is the Schoology and the Google Classroom.
The use of portfolio in the classroom. Portfolios are most effective when it is used to evaluate student learning progress and achievement. So take note the word evaluate. Portfolio is not just a collection of work products that is only reviewed at the end of course or school year, but it is used to document the knowledge, habit work, and skills of students that is acquired in schools. On the other hand, teacher can use portfolio to use to critique and evaluate student learning progress and achievements as instructional strategy. So, why is it instructional strategy? It is because portfolio showcases independent learning of students, such as learning outcomes, whether they are learning or not, what being taught to them. Portfolios can help teachers to monitor and evaluate learning progress over time. If the quizzes or and tests can give information to teachers about what students know at a particular point of time, portfolio showcases evidence of how students have grown, matured, and improved as a learner over time. Just like, for example, in writing essay, it shows how students revise and improve their work based on the feedback from their teacher or their peers. So, in writing essay, a student a student will know that it is not as effective without a goals. Later on, you find out that in writing essay, there is type of writing essays such as persuasive, descriptive, narrative, and argumentative. But later on, a student will know as to themselves that it is not much concrete without following the introduction, body, and conclusion format. That later on, he find out that a concrete essay must have the elements of introduction, thesis statement, topic sentence, body, general station, and conclusion. So, in the other point of view, portfolio showcases evidences of bit-by-bit process of a student's learning. Portfolios help teachers determine whether students can apply what they have learned to new problems in different subject areas. So take note the word determine, apply, new problems and different subject areas. The word applied there defined as the ability of students to apply skills and knowledge into new problems and different domains. So in other words, the words apply, it is the transfer of learning. So the transfer of learning occurs whenever previously learned knowledge and skills affect the way in which new knowledge and skills are learned and performed. So according to Simons in 1999, there are three types of transfer of learning, and these are from prior knowledge to learning, from learning to learning, to new learning, from learning to application. Just like, for example, the students learn the specific mathematical skills, but the question is, can they apply that skills and knowledge to a complex problem in economics, geography, civics, or history? Can they use it to conduct a statistical analysis of a large data set in a spreadsheet? Can they use it to develop a better plan to create business? If this admit, the portfolios can also be used to evaluate student work and learning in non-context area. So, It is the evidences that they have meet a certain learning expectations and learning standards. If they knew how to transfer of learning. So students could create portfolios over the course of their learning activities and submit it to their teachers as evidence that they have met a certain learning expectations that is only required for graduation requirements. So the student portfolios can encourage students to take more ownership and responsibility over the learning process. So take note the word encourage, ownership, and responsibility. So portfolio is a way for students to critique and evaluate their own work and academic progress. And because portfolio can document learning growth over time, students can use portfolio as a means to make personal reflection of their academic goals and progress. So in other words, students will engage to their portfolio to have an self-evaluation of their academic goals and progress. So portfolio shows student engagement and student voice when they are learning or being taught, which extend to level of motivation. So take note the word student engagement and student voice. So a student must think that what will be included into their portfolio after all. And besides, they talk to the teacher and to have that engagement in portfolio and student voice, it must be included in their interests, passions, ambitions, curiosity, values, opinions, beliefs, and cultural backgrounds. Portfolios can give can improve communication between teachers and parents. Yes, of course, because it helps parents become more informed about the education and learning progress of their children. So, on the other hand, parents are more informed about their children and engaged in their child's education. They can play more active role in supporting their children at home and school. For this reason, communication between teachers and parents could have beneficial effect on academic achievement and long-term student outcomes. So why this is what is this long-term student outcomes? Just like for example, the positive and negative outcomes of students. For example, is the low and high or average test scores. If the students get the average or high scores in tests, expectedly students are learning what they are expected to learn. They have met the specific standards of the school and it will increase the graduation rates of the school. So while conversely, the students that are got the lowest scores in tests are more or less they will stop for studying or it will result to high dropout rates of the school. So what is portfolio? According to Derek Medor in March 4, 2019, it is the collection of student works that are associated with standards you are required to learn. This collection of work is often gathered over a long period of time to reflect what you have been taught as well as what your students have learned. Portfolio can include classwork, artistic pieces, photographs, and a variety of other media all demonstrating the concept that students have mastered. The purpose of developing a portfolio assessment is often described as authentic form of assessment. So why is that? Why is that authentic form of assessment? It is because for it is because a portfolio includes an authentic samples of a student works.
Okay, now let's proceed to the pros and cons of using portfolio assessment. The pros of using a portfolio assessment is a portfolio assessment demonstrates learning over the course of time rather than what a student knows a particular day. So with portfolio assessment, teacher analyzes student output not only based on what they observed that day, but through long-term assessment. Next is a portfolio assessment provides an opportunity for a student to reflect on their learning, to self-assess, and to formulate a deeper understanding of the concepts they are learning beyond a simple surface explanation. So in this portfolio assessment, let the student have their own reflection or have a deeper understanding about a specific topic. Students have the chance to share what they already have in their minds and go beyond and formulating an information that is not too easy but have a depth meaning that they usually give. Next is a portfolio assessment requires a great level of individual interaction between the student and teacher, wherein they are always collaborating about the requirements and components going into the portfolio. So these another advantages of using portfolio assessment for the reason that student and teacher increase collaboration, wherein student exchange conversation to teacher regarding on requirements and components going into the portfolio, then the teacher will give the answer. Okay, let's proceed to the cons of using a portfolio assessment. So number 1, developing and assessing a portfolio is time consuming. It takes a lot of effort from both the teacher and the student, and it's a demanding endeavor in which you can quickly fall behind. Because teacher need extra time to grade portfolios since each one will include several items as well. So time is needed to help student understand the purpose and structure of the portfolio. The teacher have to wait if the time spent is worth the benefits of the portfolio use. Next is a portfolio assessment are very subjective in nature. Even if the teacher utilizes rubric, the individualized nature of a portfolio makes it difficult to remain objective and stick to the rubric. Two students working on the same learning standard may have two totally different approaches that's learning may not be the same. Even if the teacher uses one rubric, individual in nature cannot follow the rubric in a way that individual or student has different techniques in understanding the learning approaches.
Hi everyone, so for now we will gonna tackle about the essential elements of a portfolio. A comprehensive portfolio includes the following good elements. So first is the cover letter. These elements tells us about the author of the portfolio and what the portfolio shows about the author's progress as a learner. It summarizes the evidence of the student's learning and progress. Second one, table of content. Shown in these elements are the detailed contents in the portfolio. Third, entries. Entries in the student portfolio can either be core or optional. Core entries are items the students have to include, while optional are entries of students' choice. The core elements provide a common base from which to make decisions on assessment. The optional items permit each student to represent his or her uniqueness. Dates. Specific dates have to be included for all entries to facilitate evidence of growth over time. Fifth, drafts. Drafts of oral, and written products and revised versions have to be included in the portfolio. And the last one is the reflections. It can appear in the different stages in the learning process. Through reflections, students can express their feelings regarding their progress and or themselves as learners. Questions that students have to consider in making reflections for each items in the portfolio follows. First, what did I learn from it? Second, what did I do well? Third, why did I choose this item? Fourth, what do I want to improve in the item? Fifth, how do I feel about my performance? And last one, what were the problem areas or difficulties encountered? Portfolios are collection of students' work over time. A portfolio often documents a student's best work and may include other types of process informations, such as drafts of the student's work, the student's self-assessment of the work, and the parent's assessment. Portfolio may be used for evaluations of the student's abilities and improvement.
Stages in implementing portfolio assessment. So we have 9 stages in implementing portfolio assessment. So first stage, we have identifying teaching goals to assess through portfolio. So it is very important at this stage to be very clear about what the teacher hopes to achieve in teaching. So these goals will guide the selection and assessment of students' work for the portfolio. So to do this, you need to ask yourself, so what do I want my students to learn? And choose several goals to focus on. So teachers have to know what are their goals in terms of what the students are able to do. Second stage, we have the introducing the idea of portfolio assessment to your class. So portfolio assessment is a new thing for many students who are used to traditional testing. So for this reason, it is important for the teacher to introduce the concept to the class. So teachers should explain to the class patiently what a portfolio is and what is the purpose of having it. So your students should realize that portfolio is simply a selection of their work that can showcase their progress in different learning areas. Make them know that portfolio is an assessment tool and explain the weight of the portfolio in their final grade. So stage 3, we have specification of portfolio content. So specify what and how much I have to be included in the portfolio. So both core and options. So why do you need to include options? Because this enables self-expression and independence. So you need to specify for each entry how it will be assessed. So for stage 3, there are many forms of portfolio entries. For example, written, audio, videos, recorded items, dialogues, or journals. So students should be aware of the scoring guidelines that will be used before performing the task. Next stage, we have giving clear and detailed guidelines for portfolio presentation. So there is a tendency for students to present as many evidence of learning as they can when left on their own. So the teacher must therefore set clear guidelines and detailed information on how the portfolios will be presented. So the presentation must be clear and attractive. Dated draft and attached reflections or comment cards is in need. Now for the stage 5, we have informing key school officials, parents, and other stakeholders. So do not attempt to use the portfolio assessment method without notifying your department head, dean, or principal. So this will serve as a precaution in case students will later complain about your new assessment procedure. Next stage, we have development of the portfolio. So support and encouragement are required by both teacher and students at this stage. So devote class time to student-teacher conferences, to practicing reflection and self-assessment, and to portfolio preparation. So you also need to give guiding feedback. Okay, so students can get this from a patient and understanding teacher. So teachers will get it by doing portfolio assessment as teamwork or a support group. So to practice self-assessment and reflection, so you need to again give guiding feedback, and to ensure that the portfolio represents the student's own work. Okay, so for the stage 7, we have the assessing the portfolio and giving feedback. So assessing the portfolio is not difficult. Self and peer assessment can be used as a tool for formative evaluation. So in the process, students are able to internalize the criteria of quality work. Teachers' feedback is more than just a grade, and one way is by writing a letter about the portfolio, identifying its detailed strengths and weaknesses, and at the same time generating a profile of the student's ability. So still another option is by preparing certificates, commenting on the strengths and weaknesses of the portfolio, and suggesting future goals. For the next stage, we have holding student-teacher conferences. So teachers should have short individual meetings with each student wherein progress is discussed and the goals are set for future meetings. So teachers should really have to short individual meetings with each student. Student-teacher conferences play an important role in the formative evaluation of a student progress. So it can also be used in the summative evaluation when the student presents his final portfolio product together with his teacher's final grade. So for the last stage, we have the follow-up. So follow-up, it is when the portfolio are then presented to the students' parents.
Good afternoon, everyone. In this part, we're going to distinguish the characteristics essential to the development of any type. First, multi-source, allowing for the opportunity to evaluate a variety of specific evidence. It includes statements and observations of the participants and artifacts like test score to photos, drawing, journals, and audio and video tape of performance. It was said that to get more information of the student, or we need to find another source, not just only one source, but we need to find another evidence about the background of the students. Now let's go to the authentic. Context and evidence are directly linked to the author. For example, if child musical performance skills are gained through piano lesson, an audio tape will be relevant. Now, it means that every activity that the students did, for example, if the student do theater, the video what's that talk in that presentation is the most relevant evidence for the portfolio. It is the work of the student. Next is the dynamic. Dynamic capture growth and changes. Aside from including best work in the portfolio, different stages of mastery can also be included. Not just in gathering information in student portfolio, they're not just focusing on the activity of the student, but also to the changes or the progress of a student, like how they master the activity they did for the next time, or how they do the activity well in the next time. It means the changes of their activity or the progress of their knowledge. Now, let's go to the explicit. Purpose and goal are clearly defined. The student should know in advance what is expected of them, so they can take the responsibility for developing their evidence. So in this stage, in this characteristics, the students already know that someone expecting for them to be excellent doer of they do excellent things for their future, or for the to do the task that giving to them, so they have the sense of responsibility in developing their skills or knowledge or an understanding. Now, let's go to the integrated. Evidence should establish correspondence between program activities and life experience. Students should be asked to demonstrate how they can apply their skills or knowledge to real life situation. Now, in this characteristic, the student must know how to apply their knowledge from the school to the real life, or what they learned in the school in the real world. They should know how to apply it in their life to become useful. Uh, Next is based on ownership. In these characteristics, students help determine evidence to include and goal to be met. Participants must engage in some reflection and self-evaluation as they select the evidence to include and set their goal. In writing a student portfolio, a participant must engage themselves in doing reflecting themselves or do reflecting or self-evaluation of if they have a progress or they get self-progression by their by doing the activity. The last one is the multi-purpose, allowing the assessment of the curriculum while assessing the performance of the student. A well-done portfolio not only assists the student learning but also the prevailing existing curriculum. It can also be passed on to other teacher as the student moves from one grade to another level. Now, in this in making a student portfolio is not just for the collecting information of the student. It can be used also for the next level of study of the children. It can be useful for the next teacher. From one teacher, it passed to the other teacher so that the next teacher have the background about the student progress or student activity or student background of their progress in their understanding. That's all. Thank you.
And here are some types of portfolio assessments. Number 1. A showcase portfolio contains products that demonstrate how capable the owner is at any given moment. Example, a student showcases art they made in an around-the-world theme, or a photographer showcases their professional work on their website. And number 2, an assessment portfolio contains products that can be used to assess the owner's competences. For example, there are bases for assessing and evaluating student progress. So during the instructional process, student and teacher work together to identify the significant pieces of work and process requirement for portfolio. And the last, number 3, development portfolio shows how the owner has developed and therefore demonstrates growth. This type of portfolio will often also contain products from various stages of the process, stages in which feedback has been received, and possibly also products from work still in progress. For example, portfolio could contain staff development information, lesson plan, unit plan, and student work to demonstrate each step of the writing process and assessments, rubrics, or checklists. And that's all, and thank you for watching and listening.